I just want to apologize in advance. I am outside right now, and there are sirens in the background. So I don't know if you can hear them, but we'll see if it picks up in the recording. And the reason I'm outside is because, well, it's a beautiful day today, and I wanted to talk about a beautiful album, one that I thought was really special. And I'm going to be trying something new with today's video. I want to go over this project, The Alchemist by Stasys. And I want to review it, but I'm going to do it a little differently. I want to analyze it. I want to explore a lot of the musical aspects of it, production-wise, what's happening, and basically describe if I like it or not. Wow, this was the wrong time to record because those sirens are loud. But yeah, I've taken down a lot of notes, and with the Alchemist being re-released independently, I decided to revisit it since I already heard it last month right when it came out. And let's just get started. It's 4 tracks, but each track is 10 minutes long, so there is a lot of ground to cover. So the first track that we have is Potions. Now, we hear the store closing in the beginning, or maybe it's a tape starting, it's something closing or opening. And then we have these deep, altered, distorted voices. It's hard to tell what they're saying. It's kind of indistinguishable. And then followed by, we have this nice ambient passage with this beautiful piano. We have these synths and Reese bass just fading in, kicking in. And then we get this lovely drill and bass drop. Everything is layered incredibly well. And the piano kind of returns, and it's kind of like a call and response technique where you have all this other darker electro production happening, and then this piano kind of responds. The piano sounds great in the drop. We have this little granular synth in the background of this drop as well, and then in about 4 minutes in, we have this midsection that provides a bit more of a dance floor D&B sound, which is great. It's diverse, and it sounds great. It's very excellent. The mixing on this whole project is excellent. We have these great panning of the synths around your ears. I recommend you listen to this in stereo audio, but it sounds great. And then eventually the tempo kind of slows down 5 minutes in, and we get this drone in the background as well as this violin kicking in with more Reese bass. And then eventually the piano joins in, and then about 6.5 minutes in, we have this lullaby synth twinkling melody that joins in, as well as some darker synths, nature sounds, and even some birds tweeting. It sounds very atmospheric and cinematic. Then about 7 minutes in, we have these staccato drums and added percussion into it. And then we finally hit our second drop. It's way darker, and to me it sounds like it's flipping through different keys. Like, let's say from B major to C minor, it sounds like. And it's done really, really well. And who better to do it than Stasys, for sure. And then near the end, we have an uplifting melody and some more nature sounds as we transition into the next track, Lateral Transmutation. Now, listening to this, it sounds like we have a time signature of 3/4. We have this somber intro with live instrumentation. We have this guitar, or sitar, it's hard to tell exactly what type of instrument it is, with droning in the background. We have this growly Reese bass that kind of makes more room as we get further into the track. And then 3 minutes in, we have our first drop. We have this booming bass and kick, followed by this menacing synth, some extra percussion added in. There's a lot of ear candy going on, kind of panning, as well as this jazzy keyboard. It kind of sounds like improvisation. I don't know if it is, but it sounds really good. Then we have this midsection. There's this water drop sound. It kind of reminds me of Dripsody by Hugh LaCaine, this old school musique concrète piece. And then at around 6 minutes, we have the keyboard, then these clanging synths like a tin can. It's really cool, and it reminds me of a couple of Viznode and Aspect songs. We also have these marching band drums that are reminiscent to stuff like Drulu has done in the past. And then we have this twinkling melody in the background, panning, and violin. And first of all, I know I'm saying a lot, but this is all happening at the same time, and it sounds absolutely wonderful. There's so many layers, and it's so clean, nothing is muddy, and that's one of the things I love the most about Stasys. About 7 minutes in, we have this clap added and a darker bass kind of fused with everything else. 8 minutes in, we have some bells and the twinkling melody has been kind of pushed to the front of the mix, and all the percussion fades out. We're about to end the track and transition into the next one. 9 minutes in, we have this clap added and a darker bass kind of fused with everything else. 8 minutes in, we have some bells and the twinkling melody has been kind of pushed to the front of the mix, and all the percussion fades out. We're about to end the track and transition into the next one. 9 minutes in, with 1 minute left, the key changes with the same sounds. There's way more of an ambient atmosphere, and then we go into the third track, Essence. And overall, Essence is just way better. It's my favorite song off of this project. We have a synth going down chromatically, this very staticky bass in stereo audio, and it's very grating on the ears, but it's very compressed well, so it doesn't sound it still sounds good. It doesn't sound awful. Then we have this sub. This sub feels super violent. It's just in your face, in and out. It's like wind or a helicopter or knife cutting, just completely bass boosted. We have these deep and distorted voices like in the beginning of Potions, and then once we hit the drop, we have this very hard kick and clap, this staccato dark synth that's kind of contrasted with this uplifting ARP melody. And as the drop progresses, we get more melodies and happier synths as the drop progresses, and it's done really well how it's able to become so dark in the beginning, and then it just continues to be uplifting and more uplifting as the song goes on. It's really cool to see this track go from darker to lighter. And about 2.5 minutes in, the twinkling ARP returns, and all sounds fade out, except for water sounds and deepened inaudible voices. About 3 minutes in, some synth play kicks back in, and as well as some sharp staccato synth, tribal drums, and the twinkling ARP again. Around 4 minutes in, we have the second drop. Similar, different melody. The mix is crisp. There's great sidechain. This drop kind of sounds like Virtual Riot on steroids, I want to call it almost. There are parts of this and aspects of this that remind me of the Save Yourself EP. About 4.5 minutes in, we have this sharp staccato 16th note switch up. It is so sporadic and so energetic. I absolutely love it. 5.5 minutes in, a twinkling ARP, water droplets, new lead synth panning, key changes / flips. 6.5 minutes in, the twinkling reverberates, and we hear this whistling, and it's hard to tell if it's someone whistling or it's a synth, but it sounds great. There's also these robotic sounds kind of panning. There's someone whispering, and then it kind of fades out into this nice reverb, and it really carries a huge dark undertone overall. About 7 minutes in, we get a lot more distortion, but it's very minimal, almost to the point of where you could label it as micro sound. And then these violins and strings fade in, and around 8 minutes you hear this sound effect that's like a clock ticking, panning in the background. And then finally, in the final minute, we have a synth that reminds me a lot of a Scavenger's UK dubstep tracks, and we just have this creepy ambience that kind of ends the track. But it's open-ended because we have one more song left, and that is the equivalent trade. We begin with this acoustic guitar. Everything kind of abruptly ends, and we just hear this acoustic guitar. Eventually, we progress to having a flute in the background. It becomes way louder into the front of the mix around 2.5 minutes in, as well as some progression on guitar and added synth melody. It sounds like a very calming, ambient, folktronica passage in a way. We get some xylophone added, as well as this music box synth. It sounds like someone consistently winding up to hear more of the melody in the music box. Some bells in the background. We have this re-space again that's growing louder and louder. And 4 minutes in, we got our first drop, and the beat kicks in. More electronic production takes over. There's a lot more minimalism, and it becomes way bassier. Around 6 minutes, we hear some more birds tweeting, and another ambient passage with more electronic elements. 8.5 minutes in, we have some drums, and overall the track kind of plays out from there. There's great progression, and eventually we finally come to a close with this beautiful record. Now, overall, I think the storytelling is done really well. I find it very difficult to tell a story with just an instrumental without any lyrics or any vocals integrated into it. But it's actually done really well with the music. The music is able to provide a lovely story, and I just love this album overall. I feel like this album and the BT album that came out earlier on Monster Cat this year, they have got to be my two favorite IDM albums that I have heard this year. Everything is excellent, the production is clean and crisp, and I couldn't ask for anything better. Stasys is one of the reasons why I love IDM so much, and why I think it deserves way more recognition. And I'm just glad that artists like this are getting way more recognition, especially because he had a song on Form's All Nighter this year, and it's definitely going to get him some more recognition as well. And so I'm just very excited to see what he does in the future, because this sounds like a great step in the right direction. But overall, those are my thoughts on The Alchemist. What did you think of this project? Let me know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.